Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us David Valentine. How are you, David?
Doing great, brother. It's good to be here.
Oh, so glad to have you on the show, my friend, and thank you for taking the time. We usually like to kind of allow our guests to introduce themselves. Well, I already introduced you, but kind of explain all the wonderful things that you do.
Yeah, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own a piece or an entirety of 8 different businesses. 6 of them are doing 7 figures, and I get to do that remotely from the mountains or in the city of Fort Worth or wherever we're at. And it's a fantastic life that I get to live, and lots of fun businesses that we get to run.
All right, beautiful. So what is the primary business that your focus is on nowadays?
Yeah, so the primary business is a company called Avadel, and Avadel is an outsourced sales development rep firm. And so it actually books meetings on other people's calendars for our clients. So let's say that we're working with a marketing agency, right? What do they need? They always need another lead, they need another meeting, they need another client. And so the biggest problem that all these businesses have that are selling to other businesses is not fulfilling their service. It's getting that new client. It's getting that new customer. So Avadel actually doesn't just get you a lead, a person that says, hey, here's my name, here's my email address. They actually book a meeting for you to have a conversation directly on your calendar. And so it's a fantastic business. We do stuff that no one else does in that space. And it's growing incredibly quickly.
Can you spell the name of the company?
Yeah, it's Avadel.
Avadel. Nice.
Yeah.
So now, just so I can understand it better, is it artificial intelligence that runs it?
No, so it's all people driven. The thing that we've found, right, is that people want to interact with other people. You don't want to interact with a robot. It's that old time thing of like you call customer service, you're wanting to talk to somebody. What do you get? You get the automation. You're like, oh my gosh, can I just get to a person?
Press 1.
Yeah, that's right. And so Avadel is very hands-on. It's very human-centric. So a lot of our competitors will have one person who kind of does everything to get you a meeting. We actually have 6 people that are working for every client that have individual expertise that really help generate the results that we're able to generate. And so it's a very human-centric, high-touch, very creative sort of experience that we provide for our clients.
Nice. So I'm going to put my mentorship hat on right now, and I'm going to ask you, for my mentorship business, or coaching, for example, for people in the audience in the similar type business, can you give me a step-by-step breakdown of how that will look like a day in the life of a coaching client working with this firm?
Yeah. So first things first, we do an onboarding call. It takes about 45 minutes. We want to know who you're targeting, right? Like, who are your best customers and clients?
Is there a cost for that?
No, the onboarding call is free. We don't charge anyone.
Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, no, that's good. So in that, we're trying to figure out, who are you targeting? What do you do that's unique, right? Do you work with a specific industry? Do you have some expertise? What is it that you're talking about? And then one of the things that we do, I created this idea of creating outrageous offers, something that sounds too good to be true, but really isn't. And it's the real reason, it's the secret sauce behind why I'm able to scale so many companies so quickly. So something I didn't mention was, Avadel is the biggest firm, but we actually buy a bunch of companies or start some. So I launched a flight school with my brother in March of this year. It's already doing 7 figures because we created an outrageous offer. I purchased a PR firm that was doing about $10,000 a month in revenue in November of 2022. So I bought it on April 1st, November. of that year, it did $88,000 in revenue, and it's monthly recurring. So, and it's all based around these outrageous offers.
So let me get this straight. Are you saying that you're using this company to launch and make other businesses successful? For example, you pick up other businesses, utilize this platform to grow it into that 6-7 figure for your own self and for others. Is that correct?
That's it. Yeah, I mean, that was the idea the whole
Whoa.
time, right? Is because a lot of
Nice.
times what happens is you have really fantastic practitioners, right? I'm sure you're a fantastic coach, and so they're great at the practitioner. What they are not great at, and this may or not be true for you, but this is true for some people, right? Is they're not great at the marketing and they're not great at the sales. So what we decided to do was to create a great marketing and sales company. And then put other companies around that would thrive from that marketing and sales expertise. And that's why we grow them so fast. And so anyway, so in that onboarding call, we'd create an outrageous offer together. So examples of outrageous offers.
In that first call.
So here's the idea behind the outrageous offer, right? So like for the flight school, all of our competitors, they'll do a 30-minute, what they call like flight test or test flight or like a discovery flight or something like that. And they charge $300 for a 30-minute experience, which is pretty expensive. And we decided, hey, what if we charge $49.99 for it? Can we increase our lead generation, but also maintain our conversion rate? And we found that we did. And we're slowly, well, pretty quickly, I guess, if you think about how long it's been around, we're pretty quickly putting a lot of pressure on our competitors to completely change their models because they can't compete. We're getting all their leads that people are like, hey, I want to do a test flight. Let's go. And it's $49.99. Another example that we've done for the SDR firm, Avadel, we're like, hey, what are the biggest issues that people have with SDR firms? Well, they come in, they go, I've worked with other SDR firms. They didn't book me any meetings. I worked with other SDR firms. They booked me meetings in the beginning. And then
Very common.
Yeah, and then they fell off. I got 20 meetings in the first 2 months, and then I got 2 for the next 6. And so what we've done is we said, okay, we've got 2 offers that we stack together. So one is, hey, listen, I'll book you 3 meetings free, no strings attached. We'll go through all the onboarding process. We'll turn on your campaigns. Then we'll book you 3 meetings. And people are like, how can you do that? And I'm like, well, if you book people meetings, if you get them results, what do they want to do? They want to continue on. The other thing that we do that's really fun is we have a minimum number of guaranteed meetings for the year. So we say, hey, look, we'll guarantee you a minimum of 100 meetings for the year. And if we don't hit it, then we'll work for free for 90 days. And if we still don't hit it, we'll give you your money back on a prorated basis. So it's no risk in the sense that, hey, man, you can pay all that money. And then if we can't get the results, we'll give you money back. So it makes it really easy for people to engage. I do this in my consulting as well. I do a little bit of consulting with just a handful of clients. And my pitch to them is, hey, listen, I will increase your revenue by 50% in 12 months, or I will give you every penny back of what you spent with me. And they're like, that's easy to say yes to. So when you create these sorts of offers where you're like, hey, I'm a great practitioner, I know that I'm going to get your result. Great, then have a great offer that's going to get you the kind of marketing and sales results that you're looking for in your company.
So this platform is obviously connected to paid ads, I assume.
It's not. It is all.
Okay, 100- now is getting interesting. So, no, I'm joking. It was always interesting, but now it's getting juicier. So tell me about that.
Yeah, what's interesting is that for the most part, people want to do the new shiny thing in marketing, and there are actually tried and true mediums that still work, right? So the 2 mediums that we use, email, so we do cold email outreach, and creative direct mail. So we don't send anything boring in the mail. I like to send things in the mail like a piñata. Has a QR code on it, little message on the side, has candy inside. We'll send a message in a bottle in artisanal, like an artisanal bottle, and it's got a message inside to pull it out. We're trying to stand out. The way that we do email is very, very different than most SDR firms. I'm not going to write a wall of text. A sentence to 4. We'll take case studies, and they'll be 20 pages long. I've really seen some of these, and we'll shrink them down to a singular sentence. So the formula is, we worked with X client, we got Y result in Z time, and that's it. And then people go, oh yeah, I want that, I need that result, right? So it's easy to scale. And these old mediums actually work really well. It was interesting. I had this conversation with this guy. He's like, why not LinkedIn? And I was like, well, how many times a week do you check your LinkedIn? This is a VP of sales at a very prominent company that's doing about 60 million a year in revenue. I was like, how many times do you check your LinkedIn? He goes, I don't know, like once a week. I was like, great. How many times do you check your email? He goes, I don't know, like 30 times a day. Bingo. I was like, if we land in your inbox, you're going to get eyes on it. So he was like, that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically what it looks like is that you have that session. In that session, you understand the client's business, what makes them different. And then from there, you articulate so I'm not sure who said this, one entrepreneur, but they say a DAO. I'm sorry for swearing, but we'll beep it out, I guess. But so you create a DAO, and then what you tell them that, hey, let's start work. Let me get you 3 meetings or 3 bookings, whatever, and check us out. You don't have to pay nothing. No brainer. The guy will say, yeah, let's do it. And then you deliver. They see the quality. Maybe they close something. Maybe they close 1 out of the 3, or maybe the quality was really good and it's still ongoing, right? And they still need to spend some more time before they close, but they could tell the quality was good. Then they come back to you, and then how does it look from there?
Yeah, so then we say, well, hey, do you want to keep going? And if they say yeah, then they start on a paid basis, and it's just monthly paid basis. And
per lead?
No, flat fee. So here's what's interesting, Sheed. I have some clients, they're paying me for 100 guaranteed meetings for the year. They come in, they don't want for the year, right? So yeah, it average, and some of them do 200 meetings guaranteed for the year. Some of them do 400 meetings guaranteed. We have one client that has 6,500 meetings guaranteed for the year. And so
must be a hot product or service.
And so what we do though is we say, okay, we had this one client come in, and they're in a very crowded space, and they said, we don't want to do an outrageous offer, which is fine. And they booked a couple meetings, and they were booking like 2 or 3 meetings a month. And they said, Dave, we really want to go, we want to get more out of this paid service. I'm like, great, well, let's create an outrageous offer. So it was a company that makes a THC product. So they're making a weed product that's very high end. It's an artisanal cake pop. Okay. And I said, great, let's come up with some outrageous offers. So we came up with 2 together. So one was, hey, if a store says yes, they want to carry you as a wholesale, how much revenue is that for your company? And they go, on the low end, it's $40,000 a year. I said, perfect. Okay, so let's do this. If someone says yes to working with you as a wholesaler, you will do a co-branded billboard in California within a 5-mile radius of their location for a month. That'll cost them $4,000 to $6,000 to run it for a month. But one of the things that we know is whenever someone shows up to a weed shop in any state that it's legal, they go in, they have no idea what they want. Most of the time, they're like, I need something to help me sleep. I'm looking for something that'll help me have a good time with my buddies. They don't know what they're looking for. So if you put a co-branded ad out there and you say, hey, listen, we've got these awesome artisanal cake pops, come down to so-and-so store and buy them there, you're going to have people to come in and they go, hey, I saw your billboard. I want the cake pops. So now it's 2 things are happening. Number one, the retailer feels like, oh man, here's this wholesaler that's investing in me, right? And number 2, when they do come in, they're asking for the cake pops, which means they're moving that product, which means they're going to get more reorders, right? So that was the first outrageous offer. The second one was, hey, listen, these stores, a lot of times they're very locked down. You have to get buzzed in. It's kind of weird. It's a weird scenario, right? And so I said, what if we bring some warmth into that space? So what we talked about was bringing in a chef. If they signed up for a wholesale account, hey, we'll bring in a chef. We'll put on an event at your store, and they'll make the cake pops in real time. And so this company, they're getting 2 to 3 meetings a month. Yeah, it was fun. They're getting 2 to 3 meetings a month. We didn't change anything, Shahid, not a thing, except the offer. They went from 2 to 3 meetings a month. This is not an exaggeration, to 30 plus meetings every month for the next 4 months. So they only came in for 100 meetings. I'm still charging them the same amount. They got over 150 meetings in like 6 months of working with us. And then they said, hey, Dave, we need to pause. You've given us too much business. We need to go work on fulfilling it, and then we'll come back in 6 months. And so that's what they've done. And so that's the power of these offers, is if you have a great offer, it will really put you into the right spaces to generate the results you're looking for.
So this seems like the heart of all your businesses, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I started my first business 10 years ago, and I did what most people do. I referred my way to a 7-figure business, and it was really hard. It was a lot of work, and it was all Dave-centered. And so I, at the age of 29, my doc did a stress test. We did a physical, and he's like, hey, Dave, if you don't change how you're behaving in your work life, you aren't going to see 40, right? And so that was a wake-up call. I had to think about, how do I run a business differently? And that's really what started to change and transform what we were doing, because I started to ask, okay, what can I control to help my clients and customers get the results they're looking for, so it's easy for them to say yes? And when we started to think like that, that really changed the ball game for us. And we're able to now get these great results for clients. They're happy, and we're able to grow all of our companies really, really quickly.
That is so cool, David, because you literally can now, with a heart like that, you can literally go and pick up anything and make it work. You know, you have the engine. Biggest problem people have is marketing and sales, right?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And so once you figure that out, that's when you're able to do what I'm doing right now, which is like, everybody wants me to come acquire them. And a lot of times the acquisition cost is a little bit of cash and a lot of marketing services rendered. Like, that's the buyout. And so then when they see their revenue spike, their profit spike, it's an easy acquisition for them to say yes to, because they know that they're winning there. So it's a really beneficial partnership that we've created with a lot of these companies.
Yeah, and David, I want to share with the audience. You heard David. You know, if you guys have a business, you want to scale it, you want to exit, you know, get in touch with David. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things. A lot of times, what people want in their business is very different. I have some friends. In fact, I talked to a great friend that I've known for years, just before our call, and she really loves just it being herself and her husband employed by her business. Like, she doesn't want anybody else. Yeah, you know, and to me, that's a lifestyle business, and I think that that's beautiful. I love that for people. But you're right. If you want to scale and you want to grow quickly, feel free to reach out to me. You can hit me up, David at Avadel, Avadel.agency. That's the inbox that I check the most. And we can chat. They can drop the name of this podcast in the headline, and certainly go from there.
That's awesome. You know, and when you first came on the show, you know, I said, well, you know, this guy might be a rock star, you know, David Valentine with the name. So, but you became a rock star for your companies. This is amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I it's fun. It's fun to do the things that you love. And I really love growing ethical, conscious businesses that help our employees and that take care of the environment and move things forward in a positive space. And so, yeah, it's fun to do all this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. Can you share with us what you feel your innermost superpower is that got you to this point?
I don't know if you had this, Shahid. I certainly did. There are quotes, like lines that my parents would repeat when I was a kid, and some of them were very annoying, like these sayings that they would have, right? And there was one that always bothered me as a kid, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's the superpower at this point. My parents just told me, hey, if you're going to start something, you don't quit it. So, like,
Don't
if you're,
quit.
you don't quit. And so there have been so many times in the past decade where the money in the bank account for the business was low, where the debt was high, where the team was whatever, right? There have always been moments where I wanted to quit, and I just haven't. And
Yeah.
that's really the biggest difference between people that are successful and people that don't
Yes.
find success, is that they're gonna be peaks and valleys, right? There's gonna be moments where
Mm.
things are not going the way you want it to, but if you keep going, if you just
Yeah, no, it's
keep
true.
going, you'll figure
I
it
agree
out.
with that. Yeah, I agree with that completely, David. And it's the core difference between failure and success, because people look at success and say, well, he made it, or his family, or his education is more, or whatever the reasoning is, but they don't see how many times they failed, right? Like even the sports stars, right? You see them hit a home run or something, right? And then you don't know how many misses, how many strikeouts, right? So stuff like that, it's that persistence, and I can relate to that. That makes a huge difference, and it feels like you're just right when you're about to make it, you get hit the hardest, from my experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. One of the things that I talked about, I've had people ask me, like, so Dave, what businesses do you spend your time on? And it surprises a lot of people when I tell them I spend the most time on the businesses that are experiencing a lot of success right now. Like, those are the ones that I'm most concerned about. They're like, you don't spend time on the ones that are struggling? I'm like, no, because I've got leadership teams and I've got people in place. They are figuring that out, and they will always figure it out. It's the ones that are having success. Those are the ones that are about to run into
Yeah.
trouble, because it happens every time. And I think that that's one of the things that is helpful to other entrepreneurs, is to make it normative. Like, listen, the moment that you start to have your best year ever, your best quarter ever, you're getting traction, just expect, and it's totally normal and it's okay, that you're going to see a dip, because you're going to have new obstacles that you're going to have to grow through in order to get to the other side. And so just expect it. It's going to happen. It's going to be part of the story. And so then when it does happen, you don't get anxious. You don't get fearful. You just go, yeah, of course. Of course we went high and now we're coming back down. Of course. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, it's a complete faith, It's that faith. When you have that faith that I'm making it, I'm gonna do this, right? Then those hiccups, you keep going. And failure will only happen, and many entrepreneurs say this, failure will only happen is when you give up, right? So this is a great episode, great information, David. I appreciate you for sharing that message, because there's a lot of people out there, that might be on that line, and it could be just over that little bump, that where they see that success. And that's why the faith, persistence, and decision making is the most valuable components in this. So I want to thank you, David, for again coming on the show. It was nice meeting you.
You as
Great
well.
stuff you're doing. I love the products. Yeah, it's great. I love hearing these stories. I mentioned before we started recording is that I get these stories and I want to remember, but being in the present moment, you don't spend much time in the memory. So sometimes I allow it
Yeah.
to come up in conversations. They'll come in, like it'll pop up, but there's so much amazing content that we have out there because of you guys, because of what you're doing and the change you're making in the world. And your drive is making other people's lives better, because if you can help someone else grow, man, there's nothing like it. That feeling, there's nothing like it. No money can replace that feeling when you help someone. Yeah. And audience, thank you again for joining us today. And like always, we appreciate you, appreciate all the engagement, reviews. Also remember to review this episode and share with friends and family. And all David's information is going to be in the show notes, like always, and you can get in touch with him if you have some kind of idea that you're seeing that you're doing well and you want to scale it. You can tell he's a great guy. You can give him a shout, get in touch with him, and see where it goes. You never know. Just remember us as well when it does make it big. And thank you. Appreciate you. And thank you, David. Appreciate you as well.
Thank you.